That's what I do. Okay, all right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jamin Shively. This is my father, John Shively. And we're now going to talk about another sector. The previous video to this was on the topic of transforming the agriculture and food and forestry, etc., sectors of the economy. Now we're going to talk about the specific sector of urban transport. Um, the and I just cite the 3 stages of acceptance. Please have that clear, because this is kind of a big one for people to wrap their heads around. But we are going to be orchestrating the design and implementation of a set of technologies which is going to facilitate, for lack of a better word, next generation carpooling within cities and even within states and even interstate, et cetera, eventually. And not just with cars, with boats, with all kinds of forms of transport, even private planes, private jets, you name it. But the carpooling, rather than keep saying next generation carpooling, let's just give it a name. When I was out jogging yesterday, I came up with the name Cool Pool, right? Instead of carpool, Cool Pool, right? Which is probably how New Yorkers say carpool anyway, so they won't find this strange at all. So Cool Pool. What's Cool Pool? Cool Pool is arbitrarily safe carpooling. What do I mean by arbitrarily safe? I mean, if you want to have the odds outcome be less than 0.0000001% degree, and we'll be able to figure it out. I mean, basically, the system may limit you to just carpooling with your siblings and your parents, right, and your nieces and nephews, but you can specify whatever degree of risk aversion you want. And because the people who are going to be members to be a member of this system, to be a member of Cool Pool, either as a driver or as a passenger, there's a whole set of criteria that you must meet. And I want to begin to speculate on what that criteria is, because I don't want to offend any, if you've been convicted of this and this and this, then you can't. Maybe it won't, but anyway, that's to be figured out. And I'm certainly not the expert to figure it out. But here's what the net effect of all this is going to be. Now, users, of course, of Spectral Radius, so they're going to be pretty cool people to begin with, and that's one of the cool. I mean, it'll be super cool with other members of Spectral Radius. I mean, it'll just be so much fun. You're driving across a conversation, Hating Hunger conference that's about to be held in 2 weeks in San Francisco. It's a pretty fun conversation to be in, versus just listening to the radio or something like that. And actually, that brings up an interesting topic. Specify these are the kinds of people who I want to carpool with, right? So risk aversion having been addressed, now let's look side. Who would you like to carpool with? I'd like to carpool with fellow engineers, because I just love talking about engineering all day long. No. Or you know what? I want to carpool with philosophers. I'm an engineer. I don't know anything about philosophy. Please hook me up with some philosophers, right? And you can even offer to whoever you're going to carpool with. Like I'll even pay double the normal fare if I can carpool with these kinds of people or whatever. And so you create this marketplace. Some people will offer rides for free. Others will want to be compensated for gas. Others will actually want to turn a profit, such as taxi drivers, and they'll be able to leverage Cool Pool just like anybody else. And so, which brings up an interesting thing to cite those who have come before. So Zipcar and Uber and other companies that are providing new services and technologies in this whole space of transportation, Flyby, for example. Those are all steps in the right direction, right? But none of them has nailed the problem of how do we get more people into a given car, and thus reduce the fleet of automobiles that are out there driving around. And Cool Pool will do it. Now, we need to have a lot of conversations about Cool Pool, so if you have expertise in this area, or if you know people who have expertise, send them our way. Comment who we should be seeking out in the comment section of the YouTube video, and we'll get in touch with them and we'll schedule a conversation and get this conversation off the ground in earnest. One comment I want to make about this is that one could conclude, oh, this is going to be devastating for the auto industry, and certainly there's going to be a lot less demand for cars in the short term. And medium term and long term, but certainly in the short term, it's going to fall off a cliff. Demand for automobiles is going to fall off a cliff because of Cool Pool, because of the mass spreading of Cool Pool. Because you have to consider Cool Pool. Don't just think about it as another service in the current context, right? Think of it in the context of the global transformation and the mass movement for global transformation all aspects of which will be discussed and many aspects of which will be pioneered right here on Spectral Radius. And so Coolpool will sort of be kind of like a social meeting place, right? This is going to be a place where you meet other like-minded and like-hearted people who are just as committed as you are. What an uplifting thing to do, and that's really that's a big thing that motivates me personally, is just be able to meet all these amazing people, put our heads together, come up with even greater stuff, and it's just like, it's the funnest thing ever. It's the most rewarding thing ever. So anyway, so what about the impacts on the auto industry? We need to consider that. The model or the example I think of is World War II, when the whole auto industry, I don't know the entire, but maybe 90% of the auto industry shifted from cars and trucks to, cars and civilian trucks to military goods of various different kinds, including military trucks and whatnot. But we're gonna have to figure out some parallel transformations so that we don't just devastate much of the Midwest and Canada, which whose economy is based on the auto industry, right? We don't and that's part of what's called the optimal glide path that we talked about earlier in the context of the global holistic model, which is that we want to the glide path to the ideal state. Everyone is taken care of, right? No one's kicked to the curb. And so the auto industry is no exception. So, and in fact, let's see if we can get some folks from the auto industry onto a conversation on this topic. Anything else to discuss on this before we wrap it up?
No.
Okay, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.